Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat.
I'm a Who Dat.
Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat.
I'm a Who Dat.
Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on tackle, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right. Shout out to the fam, man. Big ups to the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. What's popping? Big ups to the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. We up in this thing representing the Coma. Much love to the fam. I'm not going to hold you guys too long on this stream. I will try not to, man. We'll try to use a little discipline this time around, man. And I just wanted to holler at y'all. I wanted to holler at y'all yesterday, but, man, I had a lot of stuff going on. And, of course, you know, we had some reports to work on. Shout out to our Patreon family members, our YouTube membership family. Big ups to you guys. Man, listen, we did the QB breakdown. It was a nice show, man. That's up on our Patreon. It's also up for our YouTube membership family. I had to switch it up a little differently because the tape, you know, YouTube don't like you doing certain things. So I was like, you know what? I know what to do. So big ups to the fam. Appreciate y'all for your financial contributions to the platform. We here representing the Who Dat Nation. Y'all can do me a service. Please feel free to hit that like button. Hit the share button, and by all means, if you're not a sub or a subscriber, sub up, hit the sub button, man. Really Saint talk on the web, man. Big ups to you guys. Appreciate you for patiently being there. Big ups to you in the stream. Big ups, man. Appreciate y'all, man. All right, big ups to everybody, man. I see y'all, man. In the elite Young City 9 OG Jerry. Saint super fan is in this thing. Elite. Big ups to you, Big Valley. What's up, Vilma? Shout out to Vilma as well. Big ups, Charlie. I see you, fam. All right, Big Valley. All right, Mad Drummer. Shout out to you, Mad Drummer, brother Keldrick. What's up, Antoinette? Shout out to Antoinette. She's in here as well. Much love to all my queens out there representing. B-Rock. Shout out to you, my brother. Appreciate you as well for being in this thing. Representing Gundam. Shout out to my dog Gundam in this thing. Brother Deuce, how you doing, sir? Much love. Backwoods is in this thing. Cartel is in this thing. Much love, fam. Appreciate y'all. What's up, brother Wallace? Shout out to you, Molly Mall. Shout out to my dog Molly Mall is in this thing as well. Brother Kai is in this thing. Big ups, man. All right, Dr. Key. What's up, Dr. Key? Brother Griffin, V. Griffin in this thing. Hemisphere. Much love to all y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. What's up, Brian? Shout out to you, man. Much love, fam. So, and listen, fam, the Saints are doing some moves, man, to try to turn this thing around, man. And all I can tell you is, at the end of the day, man, listen, they're making some moves, and trying to change up the culture, trying to do some stuff. The special teams coordinator position is, they feel that by going with Coach Galiano, who was the assistant underneath Darian Rizzi. And I think Coach Galiano will do a superb job from the special teams coordinator position. It's good to see him get an opportunity to step in there, man. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about a few things. The NFL going up with the salary cap. We knew that would happen, and it'll provide the Saints some relief as well going forward as the Saints try to keep this thing going, trying to get this staff together. That's the number one thing as we head up to getting ready for the combine and everything that comes with it. But the big news of the day, if there is big news, is this was something that was circulating around and has been talked about. The deal was being worked upon. But Kellen Moore, it's official with New Orleans. It's official. The Saints are going to make, Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, is going to be Nussmeier. So we knew it was going to be Coach Nussmeier. We knew that ultimately that would be the thing. And we kind of felt like that would probably end up being the move for the Saints because it was being bantered about repeatedly. We also knew that they were going through and looking at other offensive-minded players. They were just simply going through the Rooney Rule. They did enough to appease the Rooney Rule, and then they hired Doug Nussmeier. So, I mean, it's a part of the game. So he got the guy that he wanted, the QB coach from Philly. So Kellen Moore has his offensive coordinator. And there's also some other hires that he also brought down here with him. So it's a couple of guys, a guy from Dallas. We'll go through all of these hires and talk about them today on the stream. But the Saints are slowly putting it together. Now, special teams coordinators, like I just showed you, Galiano is there. The offensive coordinator is there. Coach Williams is still a wide receiver coach, so he's here. We brought back our running backs coach, Coach Joe. Joel was back with us. He went and took that 1 year hiatus to the Giants and said, and came back to the running back room, which is pretty good. So that was the Kellen Moore kind of dipping into familiar territory, using former Saints coaches a part of his staff. With Phil Galiano, Coach Thomas is coming back to be the running backs coach, and stuff like that. So you see that's popping. And of course, the next shoe to drop will be ultimately who will be the defensive coordinator. Well, we've seen several names. We've seen Coach Durante Jones. We've seen Coach Parker. But ultimately, a lot of people believe it will ultimately be the Coach Staley from the former Chargers coach Staley. They believe it will be him, and he will take over at DC. So we don't know that, but more than likely, that'll more than likely be the thing. We'll probably be hearing about that hire coming up in the next 3 to 5 days, perhaps. So we'll see what that's like anyway. All right, so big ups to y'all, man. Appreciate you. Uncle Deuce Hennessy. What's up, brother Hennessy? Shout out to you, my man. I see you, brother. Appreciate you for being in the building, man, as well. We up in this thing, man, talking black and gold. But anyway, let's go over this Saints hire with Doug Nussmeier is indeed set to continue working with Kellen Moore. The Saints are hiring Nussmeier as the OC, as reported by Nick Underhill. Shout out to him. Earlier this week, it became clear Moore and the Saints were aiming to hire Nussmeier. The two will continue to work together in New Orleans as Morris takes his first career head coaching gig. The Eagles, of course, have already filled their OC vacancy. They put Kevin Patullo as the offensive coordinator there for the Eagles, especially after McCarthy was out of the running for the Saints head coaching gig. Moore became the top name to watch, and he took the damn job. So, I mean, it is what it is. Now, we'll see what he can do. Can he move him in the right direction? And like I said, man, we'll go through the rest of his resume with Doug Nussmeier's son is the starting quarterback for the LSU Fighting Tigers. And we'll see what he can do because in terms of what Nussmeier can bring to the New Orleans Saints. And really Kellen Moore will be calling the plays, but they'll be working in unison to kind of reiterate or revive, wake up the Saints up and down offensive fortunes, man. Over the last several years, we were dealing with Coach Possum, who's defensive-minded. He couldn't, for whatever reason, bring consistent light to the Saints offense, perhaps an offensive-driven-minded head coach, which is something that a lot of people prefer, including myself. I think that would be fitting to have more of an offensive-driven-minded coach to take the reins of this offense because this team has to be led by its offense and not its defense. And we've seen what that was like over the last several years, haven't we, fam? It doesn't look good at all. All right. So anyway, let's finish this up. Nussmeier's name was mentioned as a strong contender to join Moore in New Orleans. The two have worked alongside each other with the Cowboys, Chargers, and now with the Eagles, and this will continue next season. And Nussmeier's coaching career date backs to 2001. On 5 occasions, he operated as an offensive coordinator at the college level. This will be the 54-year-old's first offensive coordinator opportunity in the NFL, albeit with a familiar face alongside him. Moore has already confirmed, to no surprise, that he will call the plays as the head coach. The Saints offense features a number of questions at the moment, and the future of quarterback Derek Carr is uncertain as things stand. Even if the veteran remains in place for 2025, strong play up front will be needed, in addition to increased efficiency through the air. During Clint Kubiak's administration, one and done campaign, Saints ranked 23rd in passing. A healthy season from Carr, presuming he's not cut or traded, will help in that department. But in any event, Nussmeier's background as a quarterback's coach will make him a key figure on Moore's staff for whichever passer the team uses in 2025. The other moves have been made in recent days as the part of Moore's efforts to quickly build the staff after taking on head coaching duties in the wake of the Eagles Super Bowl win. The Saints defensive coordinator position has not yet to be filled, but the attention can now turn to that direction as Nussmeier is in the fold. But he's among some other guys that's there as well. But this is good for the Saints. This is probably the bigger of the coaching hires and as towards the coordinators, because we want to know who's the offensive guy, and we know Kellen is do that, but you always want to have some synergy and some chemistry right there. And like it just showed you Clint Kubiak's numbers with the Saints last year, and the question about whether Derek Carr will be the man. Me personally, I really don't. With the Carr situation, man, 30 million, 30 million, they could say with people want to trade him or cut him, whatever the case may be. When Dennis Allen got fired, his quarterback can go with him. And I'm just saying, because the thought process or the aspirations of the mighty Who Dat Nation are not very high, because we're in a stand back, patient looking mode. That's what we own our stuff right now. That's what we own. And listen, we've been on this for a while, because I'm not going to get y'all all hyped up and hopped up on hopium. That's right, hopium. And then just turn around and then you drop you off a cliff somewhere when stuff go wrong. Now, listen, I'm a positive centered minded person, but I'm also a realist. I'm kind of a balance there. But I'm not going to get you all riled up. It's good to see change and things happening and shaking, but still I'm going to go at a cautious approach, because at the end of the day, the Saints must. And that's what they got to do. They got to have to show me some stuff. I'm sorry, man. I'm bringing it back. Baby. I'm bringing it back. They're going to have to show me. Like I said, I like Kellen Moore. I'll be patient. But at the same time, man, we won't see some stuff, man. It's a limit to this. Because the Saints been lying. They've been doing wrongful deeds and actions. They have not been very positive. They've been more satanic than saintly. But at the end of the day, we are a patient group of people. We are. And as far as this football team is concerned, we don't want to hear no BS or junk or garbage. We're going to watch astutely. We're going to be keeping an eye on everything, but I'm not going to pump you all up with no hopium. We're going to see what these people can do. Just like we gave these other guys a chance, we're going to give this man a chance to see what he can do. It's his first time coaching gig, so I don't have hyped up expectations on this to say so, because Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator last year, and because he was that, he's going to take the Saints to the Super Bowl. Hell no, we're not taking you there. We have to see some stuff. Let's see how you fix the offensive line. What's wrong with the line, Q? A lot of stuff wrong with the line. Need a left guard. We still need to work on a few things there. The mindset of the offensive line, the backups. We need to it's a few things that we have to do. We have to kind of rebuild up our trenches. Our trenches is not as strong as we need it to be. Our trenches, our offensive line, defensive line, especially interiorly speaking. Do the Saints really lock in and get Chase Young? Do we need to get rid of Nate Shepard, put Shepard in the street, and hire and get some more girth inside to stop the run. We need to stop them people from running on us. We need to learn to run the ball, and we need to have a ferocity offensively from an offensive line standpoint, where we become more forceful with this mentality. We are too milquetoast and melancholy in philosophy when it comes down to running the football. You have to have a mean, aggressive approach when you're running. Running the ball is a mindset. It's a temperament that you have to have, and you can't be picking daisies or picturing beautiful days on a swing or sitting on the beach with a pina colada drink. That ain't gonna cut it if you playing football in the trenches. All that's gonna get you is rolled up like some tumbleweed, pushed back like a vending machine with freshly greased wheels. That's what it's gonna get you. You got to have a mean temperament when you're an offensive lineman and you're operating the run. That's just what it is, baby. I'm telling you straight facts. All right, anyway, let's keep it going, man. That's a shout out to Nussmeier. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the New Orleans Saints once again, because this man was the guy that we did draft Doug Nussmeier, and he's coming back home. I don't know if y'all realize that. Some of the diehards know that back in the day we drafted Dougie Nussmeier to be coach, and he stunk. He was garbage. But at the end of the day, that wasn't his calling. He's back. He's back as your OC, not as your quarterback, but as your OC, because he was terrible, baby. He was real bad. All right. Anyway, let's go over to this nice article right here. Saints promote Phil Galiano to the special teams coordinator position, promoting him to serve as special teams coordinator on Kellen Moore's new staff. He joined the Saints back in 2019 as an assistant special teams coach under Darren Rizzi. And after Rizzi left to reunite with Sean Payton in Denver, Galiano became the obvious candidate to take over the Saints special teams operation. He has an extensive history with Rizzi, so the Saints maintain some continuity on special teams heading into 2025. Galiano carries with him 25 years of coaching experience across college and pro ranks. He served into a multiple of roles from college, including a 3-year stretch at FIU's defensive coordinator and 3 different stints at Rutgers, where he served several different position groups and spent a year in director recruiting in 2015. That means whatever job they had, this guy kept his suitcase ready. I mean, isn't that? This is a guy that lived out of his suitcase, fam. You see all that stuff I just talked about? That ain't something, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. This guy basically lived out his suitcase till the right thing came. In the NFL, however, Galiano is focused on special teams. He was the Buccaneers' assistant special teams coach in 2012 and 2013, and the special teams interim with the Dolphins in 2016. He spent the next 2 years at Penn State, first as a defensive consultant, then as a special teams coach and assistant defensive line coach in 2018. He then joined Rizzi in New Orleans after the 2 overlapped on coaching staffs at Rutgers and Miami. Those coaching relationships count. If anything people want to learn about how the world works in terms of relationships and networking, this is how you do it. We've seen countless of times over and over again, especially in the NFL, how coaching, networking, and relationships help you move from job to job, because the NFL landscape is constantly changing. You got coaches moving from here to there, like what happened with Clint Kubiak. He took all of his guys, most of them anyway. If you're talking Dennison, you're talking, what's the other guy? The offensive line coach, John Benton. Who's the other guy? It's like 3 guys he brought with him up there. Chinoku, the same dudes that was here doing the same thing when he got an offensive coordinator job. He called all those dudes up and brought them up there. So don't tell me networking don't work, because it really does. The NFL is showing that. Now, Moore has 2 filled. He says now has 2 of his 3 coordinator spots filled, in addition to a variety of assistant roles. Saints are still deciding on their next defensive coordinator, which is the article. This was written prior to that, with the hiring of it. But the defensive coordinator position could possibly be Brandon Staley's job, the former head coach of the Chargers, which is another relationship, because Brandon Staley, who was the one-time coach of the Chargers, hired then Kellen Moore from Dallas to be his OC. So when he got fired, he just said, "Hey, man, you want a job? Networking works." And of course, the Saints did interview, like I talked about, Durante Jones, who has defensive ties to the Minnesota Vikings, a former LSU guy. Shout out to him. and also Coach Parker, Christian Parker, another really talented person. But I believe that these guys are not going to be the choices for defensive coordinator. I have a sneaky suspicion that they are possibly just Rooney Rule interviews to clear the door for a Brandon Staley. Now, perhaps could they be offered a lesser position from defensive coordinator? Yeah, but you don't want to. They're probably not going to make a move like that if it's not a coordinator move. If they're not moving up, I don't see them moving side to side. So Staley could be the guy, and he could bring what he is to the defensive side, and then you start seeing all of those other sides get picked up: the defensive line coach, the linebacker, the secondary coach, the defensive back coach, and all the assistants on the defensive side of the ball will get filled as well. Now with offensive coordinators in tow, you'll start seeing these other jobs get filled out as well. So that's a few of them right there to talk about. And of course, let me bring up the article right here that our contributor Niles Carpenter from the WhoDatDaily.com covered it when he did a little graph here on it. I'm gonna have to get him to write another article. He kind of put, the latest. I think he got one he's working on. But Saints Culture Search overview right here, as you can see on the screen here, is showing you some of the guys the Saints talked to. Of course, this will be updated, but the offensive coordinator is Doug Nussmeier now, and of course, you see the candidates that they interviewed was Robert Prince. Remember him from the Dolphins? He was interviewed. Rooney Rule. And then, of course, the defensive coordinator position, like we're seeing Christian Parker and Durante Jones, Rooney Rule. And we'd open up the door for Brandon Staley, as well as you see Keith Williams, Chase Haslett. These are other guys that have been picked up on the offensive side of the ball. Keith Williams was here last year, came over from the Ravens. He's a very popular coach. Chase Haslett, the son of Jim Haslett, who comes over from the Cowboys tied with Kellen Moore, and Brendan Nugent, who's also is a former Saints coach under Sean Payton, returns to take over the offensive line. Where John Benton failed, perhaps Brendan Nugent could succeed. So he was there when we had some really nasty offensive line play, and I mean nasty meaning good. We never, under Sean Payton, I'll tell you not, our offensive line for the great majority of the time that Coach Payton there was a stalwart. He knew how to build the trenches. He knew how to draft offensive linemen. Some of those guys he knew how to cross-train very well. He always had pretty good depth there, and he knew he needed to have strength on the offense and the defensive line so that we could be able to run the football, protect the quarterback, and do what we need to do. Now, nobody's perfect. He had some sketchy calls, like when he released, what's the man name? Y'all help me out. Y'all remember he put, was it Willie? Well, y'all let me know in the chat. He put him in the street for, and then, because it was after the Minnesota game, when the Saints lost the Minnesota game, they stunk in that game. The only player that really did anything was Taysom Hill. Everybody, the offensive line was pathetic. That team was not prepared to play. They had no fire. They had no intensity. They had no intelligence, really. They were just terrible. And Taysom was the only dude that was actually out there trying to do something. It was like they didn't want to play. It really was upsetting. But at the end of the day, when it was over with, a certain offensive lineman, y'all tell me who it is. This could be a bit of a trivia question for y'all guys. Y'all let me know who that offensive lineman is. There you go. Clint got it. There you go. Shout out to KT, my dog KT. Let me hit the clap button for y'all, man. He hit it. Cartel. Shout out True. I see you, fam. All right. You're absolutely right, man. That's what it is. Larry Warford, who was a guy, I think he went to multiple Pro Bowls. I don't know what happened with him and Peyton, but he had 1 year remaining on the contract, but something, I don't know what it was. He never talked about it after the fact. I thought he would, but he never did. He had 1 year remaining. He intended to play, and for whatever reason, it was almost like, and I talked about it on the show at the time, that Peyton was upset with him or whatever the case may have been, and almost like he focused on Larry Warford for being the problem while the Saints offensive line stunk that game. Nobody else got anything done to him or anything. That whole line, when you go back and watch the game, they were terrible. And Taysom seemed like the only dude that was actually trying to do something. But in the end, they put him in the street despite the fact that he had 1 year left. And then why is that instrumental? Because that's how you got Cesar Ruiz here. That's how you end up getting Cesar Ruiz. You got him here because of them putting Larry Warford in the street, and Sean Payton said, hey, man, we need to do something with this line. So what he did was he drafted Cesar Ruiz to play center, to play the center position, and he was going to move McCoy to the guard position. Payton thought that McCoy would be a better guard than he is center, and he was going to make that move. The only problem was he switched his mindset. He got a good look at Cesar Ruiz, and he kept McCoy playing the center position through training camp, and then ultimately over almost 2 weeks. It was almost 2 weeks before he made the switch to Cesar from McCoy, and then I think Cesar played a couple of days of practice. Then he got hurt, and Payton scrapped the experiment and then shifted Ruiz to guard. And out of his tenure here, and I've been telling y'all that because I study film, is that to my estimation, Cesar Ruiz only had 1 year that he was actually solid, and that was his pay year. That he was really solid. The rest of them years is mediocre to me because he gets beat. He makes too much money. He's too high of a draft pick to be a guy that get beat as much as he gets beat. You study, especially last year on the film, he looked like he didn't know who to block. And I told y'all, like, a thing that the defense was doing with the Saints were they would wait for right before the Saints snap. They were timing the Saints snaps. And I told y'all that they were timing the Saints snaps, and right before the Saints snapped the ball, the defensive line would shift, which would cause confusion with the Saints offensive line, and they didn't know who to block. So they'll run the defense or run stunts. The dumb line would know who to block, and that's coaching. That's supposed to do that. But they knew that the Saints offensive linemen were poor communicators, and that contributed why a lot of people were getting frustrated, getting in there and causing hell on the Saints. So a lot of that's coaching, but at the same time, Ruiz is a guy that's been here for years. He should know better than that. And he just, to me, Cesar Ruiz had 1 good year. The rest of them was mediocre. So hopefully Brendan Nugent can come here and get Ruiz to find another level. Once again, I might have to hit the button on the show me something because that guy's a first-round draft pick, man. There ain't no excuses for him. Now, you can look at Trevor Penning and say, hey, man, Penning did start but 1 game in his rookie year, and he's been here going into 4 years. The first year he played 1 game. That's dumb coaching. They didn't get him out there to do anything. The second year, they threw him at the left tackle position, the blindside tackle position, while telling you that the blindside tackle position and the right side position are interchangeable, which is not true. And I told you that at the time. They're not interchangeable. The blindside tackle position is a very highly coveted position where you can make a lot of money at if you're athletic and thorough enough to protect the blind side of your quarterback. That's like telling me that, it doesn't matter who you put back there. With Derek Carr as your quarterback, Mr. Deer in the headlights, a guy get within 7 feet of him, he throwing the ball up for a pick. No. You knock that guy down several times, it destroys his confidence and rattle him. He's shaky there all game long. Boy, shaky all game long. He's sitting there. Okay, guys, we're gonna do this. Like, man, why are you shaking? No. Just scared. So yeah, absolutely. So they threw Penning out there at the left tackle position. He wasn't prepared for that, and I told him don't do it. I told him that the whole time. I said he will not. It's not going to fare well for you. He's a right tackle, and they did not want to remove Ramczyk because at the time they were hiding the data that Ramczyk was effed up bad. He was tore up, and it was like, no, we're gonna keep all this money on the right side. And I'm like, okay, it failed. So after 5 or 6 games, he collapsed. He had all these confidence issues. You could see it in the young player. They almost destroyed him. But that was the dumb Saints decision. Then the 3rd year, he comes back, and then they have to verify it. He almost, in that preseason, almost didn't make it, but ultimately the man was able to pull himself together and put together a decent season for the first time in his 4 years. So they didn't handle Penning like they were supposed to handle him, but that's no excuses for Cesar Ruiz. He's been in there the whole damn time. What's his excuse? He should be one of the best guards in the game with all the experience that he had. So I went all the way around to give you a quick history lesson on the offensive line, talk about Larry Walford because that's how you got Cesar Ruiz, baby. But in the end, can Nugent get the most, not out of just Cesar Saleh Ruiz, but the entire Saints offensive line? I'm really big on Tali Fuaga. I like what Trevor Penning did. We need a left guard because Lucas Patrick is a backup. He's not a starting level lineman at all. We need a left guard at the position, and the Saints need an attitude adjustment. Eric McCoy is super cool, but he doesn't have the temperament of a nasty offensive lineman that you want. You want a guy that, if he's the leader of that offensive line, he has to have a meanness and not go around slapping people in the head or something like that. No, but he got to be able to get mean on game day and to go out there and dominate. I mean, it's just what it is. You can't be picking roses and poses and skipping through the tulips and all that. If you're trying to play offensive lineman, it just won't be a good look for you. It won't be a good look for you at all. But anyway, that's some of the stuff, man, right there to talk about here, man, as we keep the thing moving. There's the Saints adding a few things. Y'all tell me in the chat how y'all feel about it. Also, this is another one that came across my desk. The Saints are hiring Ted Rath as the director of sports science. How about that? And this guy was known as the get back coach. All right. So I guess, if you got a resume, man, there's a vast resume in the NFL, man. You can say, hey, man, I was the janitor, I was the assistant janitor, and then I moved up, became the janitor. The next thing you know, man, I was the top guy or whatever, the little dude that be running around in the Saints, on the Saints field. Y'all be seeing the little brother running around there, and he used to give people water, bottles that he moved up. I was the top water getter, and then I went from the top water getter guy, then I started driving the cart. The cart that get the injured guys off the field. I moved up. I was driving the cart. And then I went from driving the cart to being the get-back coach. Then I went from being the get-back coach to becoming the director of sports science. And then after that, I'm going to be on the fries. And that's when the real big bucks roll in. The get-back coach is your director of sports science. I don't know. This needs some more investigation. But anyway, Rath, perhaps known as Sean McVay's by get-back coach, was most recently the Eagles' director of sports performance. Now he follows Kellen Moore to New Orleans. Very interesting hire, man. We'll see if the former get-back coach, and this is a good picture because he's actually doing his job. He's right here saying, Coach, hold on, get back. If people don't know what the get-back coach is, usually you'll get warned by officials, like if you're too close to the field, you're not supposed to be when games are, or actually if they're playing football on the field live, you're not supposed to be within a certain feet of the actual game. You got to back up. And sometimes coaches get animated and they need the coach to tell everybody to get on back. Y'all get back behind. Yeah, there's a get back coach and you get paid for that. So that's a hell of a promotion for Ted Rath, the sports science guy. So the Saints making some moves, man, some very unique moves indeed. All right, let's move on. The salary cap is, again, much higher than anticipated. That's good news for the black and gold. For the second straight year, NFL salary cap came in higher than expected, news that New Orleans will surely enjoy. The league informed teams on Wednesday that the salary cap next year is expected to fall to $77.5 million and 281.5, rather, a significant jump. So they're looking at it between 277.5 and 281.5, which is not a bad jump. So from last year's 255.4, the increase is a benefit, particularly for a team like the Saints, who were projected to be more than $50 million over the cap and have to become cap compliant by the start of the league new year next month. Previous estimates have next year's figure around $272 million. That's not true. That's 2020. Well, hold on. That's what he's saying in terms of the cap, the overall cap perspective, going up to 272.5. That's the estimations. We'll see. It's 281, between 277 and 281. So we'll see what it does, because it could change, man. So the NFL salary cap has increased by more than $53 million over the last two seasons. Last year's spike saw an unprecedented increase of $30 million, which the league said was the result of, quote, full repayment of all amounts advanced by clubs and deferred by players during the C-19 and an extraordinary increase in media revenue. C19 was 2019, man. When it comes down to money, I don't believe nothing the NFL says. You mean to tell me you just recoup money from 2019 when that situation happened? These people make tens of billions of dollars every year. I don't believe that. Extraordinary increase. And of course, you know what it is. When you get involved, the NFL, the NBA, they all doing the same thing. They get the sports books involved. And when you get sports books involved in the game, then you start seeing very weird stuff happen. It diminishes and takes a lot from the game. And that's when you see attendance and viewership rather drop when watching these sports, because people who used to not see these things happening, it's a different time. It was once a time where people didn't see what they were doing. And it was only a small selection of people that seen what they were doing. Now it's a vast amount of people who can see exactly what they're doing. And it is obviously clear. To the point where the referees came out, y'all put one in the chat if y'all remember hearing this during Super Bowl week, when they were saying, the head referee or whoever the fool, the clown was, that came out and said that they're appalled or whatever by what people are saying about them giving calls for Mahomes or, man, shut up. Shut up. It's time. When you get sports books involved, that is everybody in the world know that there's obvious corruption in any American sport that collect money. Oh yeah. And you got a sports book attached to it, it's going to be some corruption going on, baby. You betting on how much they win by, you betting on how many yards they throw. They decided to, hey man, because back in the day they didn't want any affiliation with it because they thought that it would taint the game. That's what your boy Stern believed when he was running the NBA during the golden era. David Stern was one of the best. And he did not want any connection to Las Vegas at all, because he believed that being connected to them would definitely tint the game. Now you're going to get a basketball team there sooner or later. You got a football team that the Raiders gave that came over from Los Angeles over there. You got a WNBA team. Hell, they got a hockey team out there that won the championship after 2 years of being in existence. Where they do that at? So, I mean, it used to be the case where people didn't see it. But I'm telling you, it's the time. The time that you can't be tricked. It's the same thing with politics and everything else. The veil is coming off, and the people are seeing it, and they don't know what to do. It's a beautiful time, man. Don't let these fools and all this foolishness they tell you, man. It's a beautiful time to see what's happening. All of this stuff, all of it's being exposed and showed. The veil is, because they can't stop it anymore. They can't. They did all they could to stop it, and they know they cannot stop it. You're starting to see it all. So be prepared, have your mind ready, and understand that the truth is coming, whether you're ready or not, baby. But anyway, the Saints are facing several major decisions this offseason as they look to navigate the cap. Among them, the teams have decided what to do with Derek Carr, who release would carry a $50 million dead cap hit, but would go a long way towards reshaping their books for 2026. The Derek Carr thing. Derek Carr, in my opinion, is good as gone. We cannot afford Derek Carr by no restructuring on older players. People have to take pay cuts. There is no restructures. We're not restructuring 35 and 36-year-old men. No, we're not doing that. We're asking you to take pay cuts. And if you don't take a pay cut, you will be put in the street or traded. We have to get the money back so we can take the team forward. But it's just simply what it is. You know, you collected well. You got paid well for your services. But we're in a $50+ million hole, and we need you to take a pay cut. If you don't want to take a pay cut, then we will put you in the street. You know, it's nothing personal. It's just business. We have to get the money back that dumb Loomis gave to them. We have to get it back some kind of way so that we can be about the business of getting this ship turned the correct way. You know, so anyway, that's some of the stuff right there. Shout out to NOLA.com for what they were representing, bringing there. And of course, We understand that. But also just to share this, y'all guys remember, I remember this was a show I did a couple of years ago, maybe last year or the year before that, when I showed y'all a letter that was released by Roger Goodell that was saying, advocating for people not to cut the head coach and all that kind of stuff. Y'all remember hearing that? Because it was money that teams owed for coaches that they were firing, and Goodell was telling, this was last year, matter of fact, was pushing teams to keep their coaches because of the money that was built up that was owed to fired coaches, because the I guess the speed or the pace at which head coaches were getting fired. Like you had guys that had 1 year and they got fired. Like 1 year. Like what happened to Antonio Pierce? What happened to Gerard Mayo? What happened to the guy with Carolina before they got? He was one. Frank Wright. He was one and done. So you had coaches that were 1 year. They had 1 year and they fired them. How you gonna turn something around? If Bill Belichick can't turn something around in 1 year. Nick Saban, the best name. Bear Bryant, the best names, and John Madden or whoever you got. They can't turn nothing around in no 1 year. Hey, but at the end of the day, man, you know, he was advocating for him. Hey, man, don't fire your coaches. That's what this idiot was saying. And we were like, man, you don't get your crazy tail out of here with that, man. But I was just dropping that on y'all. Y'all remember that. All right. Anyway, a few more news notes and items that y'all would do. We're going to go to questions. Y'all got any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. I'll get to them. Saints make 2 key hires to bolster Kellen Moore's coaching staff. Saints certainly have been busy as of late, and they have to. Kellen Moore filling out his staff. And we know about the Dougie Nussmeier signing. The Saints had to wait to hire Moore because they couldn't do it while he was still in the playoffs. The Saints kicking things into higher gear. As we talked about, Coach Joel Thomas coming back. He will be reunited with the Saints as the running back coach. Longtime Saints coach is back. He spent last season with the Giants, returning to New Orleans staff. He told Thomas is highly regarded and recently served as offensive coordinator in the Senior Bowl. So good to have Coach Thomas back. Really good dude. Knows what he's doing. People love him a lot because the players love him. He's a straight shooter. He knows what he's doing. Saints followed up landing 4-year NFL veteran Scott Tolzien to be the team's quarterback coach. So there you go. You got Kellen Moore, Doug Nussmeier. And then, of course, you have his QB coach, which is Scott Tolzien. This is from Ian Rappaport. The Saints are hiring Scott Tolzien as a new QB coach under Kellen Moore. Sources said Tolzien and Moore reunite after being on the Dallas Cowboys staff. A former NFL QB, Tolzien is now a rising young coach and a key hire for New Orleans. So there you go. So Kellen Moore is your head coach. Offensive coordinator is Nussmeier. QB coach is Scott Tolzien. Then we went through coach and talked about Coach Thomas. We also talked about Keith Williams. We also talked about the fact that the Saints have Chase Haslett, who's the tight ends coach. Offensive line coach is Brendan Nugent. So you're starting to see the offense of the Saints come together and form Voltron, so to speak. There, you're seeing them come together. Of course, you see Coach Galiano is the special teams coach. And, of course, all you have now to focus on is who will be the defensive coordinator. And all bets are saying that ultimately the defensive coordinator will come down to being Coach Staley. That's what the betting money is on, to be honest with you, is Staley to be that guy. So we'll see. Brendan Staley. Now, you know, Christian Parker, Durante Jones are interesting. I like Christian Parker, man. That would be really cool if he was the guy, but I just don't see it happen. I just think these are Rooney Rule guys so they can get to Staley. You know, this is the game. But in the end, I think Kellen Moore, he's been pretty consistent. The talking point was he would hire Nussmeier, and he did. You know, the talking point was that, you know, ultimately he'll reach back to his roots, and he pulled guys from the Eagles, he's pulled guys from Dallas, and now he'll have a Charger guy. Every stop he had a guy that he'll bring with him. Of course, he did keep a couple of Saints guys, which is a positive as well. So the staff is coming together, and once we get that, then it'll be about the business to establish the identity of the team based on the talent that we get. Then we'll go into personnel. What do we do with the quarterback? Yada, yada, yada. Of course, there'll have to be some movements made. And like I said, I think ultimately Derek Carr is a marked man. And I think he's a marked man because when the Saints approached him, and he wasn't the only one they approached about a pay cut, they approached other players that just wasn't reported. The Saints are not going to go to one guy and ask him to take a pay cut. Even if he did take a pay cut, they still would need to go to other players to get more money to be able to get not just inside of to get to zero, but they also would have to get more money so they can be able to attempt hires in free agency or whatever, or sign some of their guys back. And then ultimately, listen, and I've said this before, once this happened and they get money back, they're going to kick the can again. Mickey Loomis is an old dog with no new tricks. He'll continue to do what he's been doing, which is getting the money back and then kicking the can. You better believe it. An old dog with no new tricks. That's what Mickey Loomis is. All right. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all on that, man. That's some of the latest news, notes, and movements by your New Orleans Saints, man. Listen, and all I got to say about it, man, is that they're putting some stuff together. We'll see how it all works. We shall be patient and see how it all goes, because I'm not really anticipating a lot to happen here. Oh, yeah, I forgot this one right here. Outside of them hiring Scott Tolzien, they also had hired TJ Pagnetti, which is another guy that comes over from the Philadelphia Eagles that I want to mention, because it was quite a few names that they threw out there, and Pagnetti was one of them. Nussmeier isn't the only top Eagle assistant following Moore to New Orleans. The Saints also are hiring Eagles run game specialist and assistant offensive line coach TJ Pagnetti. That's from Nick Underhill. He spent the last 8 seasons with Philly, working closely with legendary Eagles offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland. Pagnetti will likely take over as the Saints offensive line coach with 9. And that's old information because he won't. The offensive line coach is Brendan Nugent, but he will more than likely be the assistant to Brendan Nugent. And the interesting thing is, this guy, Pagnetti, is a guy that a lot of people, respected people like Pagnetti. And Stoutland, like when the Saints pulled Moore away from the Eagles, they hired him away. A lot of people wanted to go for the Saints to do everything they can to land Jeff Stoutland, because Jeff Stoutland is the one that a lot of people believe is responsible for how the offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles play. And if you watch the Super Bowl, and I think most of us did watch it, the fact that how nasty they were and how they played, that's how you want the Saints to play. Not only just the Super Bowl, but did you see how those guys were playing throughout the playoffs? The offensive line for the Eagles? They were pushing guys out the way, smashing them, pancaking them. You know, they were playing angrily the entire postseason. They smashed down on the Chiefs like there was nothing. You know, ran through Washington. I mean, these were teams that had some good vibe with them, some good talent. And the Eagles, man, you watch that tape in the playoffs, when it matters, when it's on the line. See, not just a regular game. Everything is heightened in the playoffs. It's all heightened in the playoffs. And man, to be honest with you, when I see how the Eagles were playing in the playoffs with that intensity and that ferocity, I was like, that's how our line's supposed to be playing. That's how we're supposed to be playing. What a nasty disposition. And our line at times didn't do that. These guys looked like they were just going through the motion, and it just stunk. You know, it just stunk to me. But more, and there you go. So this will be pretty cool to see Pagnetti along with him. So he's another guy there. Run game coordinator. Remember, our former run game coordinator was a guy named Rick Dennison. You had Kubiak doing that, and then a run game specialist, run game coordinator, whatever you want to call the guy. The running game coach, guy in charge of the running game that collects or is, you know, in union with the offensive coordinator, was Rick Dennison. With him going to Seattle, this guy Pagnetti will work with Kellen Moore in the running attack, and that's what I look for. Brendan Nugent, TJ Pagnetti, can these guys get the Saints together? Will they pilfer players from the Philadelphia Eagles to help work with us? I mean, there are a few guys. Don't get it twisted. There are going to be at least a couple of guys that follow Kellen Moore down here. That's just a customary traditional thing that happens from time to time. Guys ultimately do, you know, move and decide to go where they want to go. So at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see exactly how things work out, man.
But I just think that when you look at all of the things that happen, that I think ultimately this is going to be a pretty cool venture for the New Orleans Saints to handle their business, man, and put this stuff together. So we'll see. The offensive line is big. They putting the coaches in place. We'll see what the movement is, and we'll go from there. Right. All right. Big ups to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all for listening to me right there. Cover all this damn news. All right. Anyway, man, let's keep it pushing, man. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it pushing, man. As we know, what the Saints got to deal with, man. We got to keep it moving. All right. Shout out to you guys, man. Let's see if y'all guys got any questions. Much love to everybody in the stream, man. We up in this thing representing the mighty Who Dat Nation. Appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Let's see. Y'all got any questions? I got a few. Okay. We got a few super chats here. Let me give a few shout outs on our super chats here. Much love. KT, shout out to my boy KT. What are your thoughts on Shavon Revel, the 6'3" cornerback from East Carolina? I seen that guy, bro. I think we did a breakdown on Revel, that big cornerback. He had, is that the South? Yeah, the East Carolina. Hold on, I think we did a breakdown on this kid in the hold on, KT. Let me make sure that's the right guy here, because I want to say, yeah, we covered this guy. We talked about him. Yeah, he has a big physical guy. Like a lot of people. Yeah, that's him. Yeah. From yeah. We covered him in the cornerback breakdown. Yeah, big physical guy, man. I mean, his speed. I was watching tape on him, man, and they don't have him. The weird thing is, like, I mean, he's long, bro. He's long. He's kind of, I ain't gonna say he's raw, but he got potential because he's fast. See, you got these big physical cornerbacks. A lot of times you have issues with them being stiff. Like you have stiff hips and they don't turn correctly with all this. But this kid could play. Plus he has speed. So you have a big 6'3", 6'2", 6'3" guy that has the ability to move. So I don't, there's still some stuff that you can work on with him because they talk about his tackling being bad. But I watched a lot of this highlight footage on him. I didn't get a chance to watch a full game on him, but anybody can look good in highlights. You know what I'm saying? But I like the kid, man. I don't know. I think some of his stuff, like we seen, I have to continue to watch some of his stuff, though, to be honest with you, KT, because I seen mostly this guy in highlight reels. And what I seen in highlight reels, that he actually looks pretty good, but at times, you got to look at him. I think, I think he has some injury concerns too. Didn't he have some type of muscle tear or something that happened to him? Yeah, like an injury that happened to him last year that kind of slowed him down. And we'll see what's going on with him. Yeah, but we covered him because I remember him. He has good speed. The guy he's a tall cornerback that has speed. He's a decent tackler, and he made some plays. I seen he had some interceptions there with them. And then outside of that, it was the stiffness thing in terms of his hip. He had an injuries concern that was following him. Because I think, hold on, let me pull him up, man. Because I think he was hurt, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have my book on my little book that I usually write everything down when I don't have it. It's downstairs. Hold on, let me see if I can pull this brother up right here. Because I don't know if I think he's either 6'2" or 6'3". Hold on, let me pull him up. Yeah, hold on. Yeah. You see, here he is right here. They got him listed as 6'1". I don't see how they got him listed as 6'1", because they're showing these. That's obviously a mistake. Yeah, there you go. He got hurt in September. Yeah, he got hurt last year. Torn ACL. Yeah. Yeah, but the dude is long. He's a difficult cover, man. I know they was talking about his tackling ability. That he's not much. And this is some of the stuff that they're saying, man. Some of the stuff I didn't even see on what the footage that I had seen, but I'm gonna have to watch some more footage on him. But what I did see, man, he looks like a pretty good prospect. But they saying he needs to improve pursuit angles, entry points as a tackler, average balance and body control, matching his route breaks and stops. That's what they're saying. His fluidity, like he's not as fluid as you would want him to be. His footwork is off. They're saying they need to work on his footwork. Split high with long legs and high center of gravity. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, man, this is a guy that can help you. I don't know. You probably would take him like what, somewhere in the second day. I probably would say for a guy like that, maybe what, fourth round, somewhere in there, fourth, maybe fifth round for a guy like that, maybe even a little higher, depending on this, because he could play. But that injury, you know, that's another thing. He got hurt in September, you know, so will he be ready to go for the combine? That's a whole nother thing. And that's an injury where it impacts your speed. And a lengthy cornerback like that, you know, you will want, you know, I like his speed, but then again, maybe it's a potentiality for him to be able to shift, because usually with them tall cornerbacks like that, at some point they have envisions of plans. They have them envisioned to move to a safety position if the speed's not there. So, I mean, we'll see how it all go. But thank you, KT. Appreciate it.
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
Yeah, I remember this kid, man. He could play, man. He could play. But like I said, man, you know, like I was looking at his game. Everybody looked good in highlights, man. But thank you, KT. KT be keeping up with all them guys. He be keeping up on them. Brother Brian, how you doing? Said, wish we could have got a bigger name offensive line coach. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
A bigger name, who would you prefer, brother? Who you got?
Stay cool. Nobody gets hurt. Take the money out. All of it. Come on. Wasting my time now. Come on.
Who would you like? Who would you have wanted, brother Brian? Let me know in the chat, man, who you think would have been a good potential offensive line coach that you would want. And then, you know, think about it too, like this. When you hired Kellen Moore, you hired him after the Super Bowl season over with. So whatever teams that you did have, like when the season ended from a regular season standpoint for teams like the Saints and Carolina, all these other teams, and they have movement going on in terms of coaches, guys get fired, the defense coordinators get fired. And a lot of these guys that were on teams that didn't make the playoffs ultimately were able to find jobs. And a lot of these positions were filled before the Saints even hired their head coach. So that's a drawback of waiting all the way to the end of the season to hire a coach. It puts everybody back. So the coach, so you would have to have some forethought, you know, some clairvoyance or something where you could say, you know what, y'all, I'm gonna take this job, but listen, I need you guys to kind of hang on here or whatever. Or simply what the coach would do, because he doesn't have the ability to go to the coaches that he wants because they're gone because of the lateness. He just pulls from guys that he knows from the team that he's on, which is a plus. So we see a lot of Eagle guys. We've seen guys from Cowboys, and he basically does what everybody do, what all the coaches do. They pull from where their stops was. So we'll have guys from every one of the stops that he came from. We got Dallas coach from Jim Haslett's son. He's the tight ends coach. We're going to have Staley here, and he was the Chargers coach. That was a stop. And then you have several coaches from the Philadelphia Eagles joining him with the Saints. And plus, he kept some coaches from the Saints in place. Now, defensively speaking, include the special teams coordinator, the wide receivers coach, and brought a former Saints coach back from the Giants that were here for a long time, which was a small hire as well. Then you see the same thing happen defensively. You'll see some of these guys pull from guys, so whatever from their side of the ball. You can see maybe an Eagle coach or two come here. We'll see how it goes, you know, as we build forward. But yeah, y'all put in the chat, bro. Let me know who you think, you know, you would have liked based on that information there. All right, big ups to you guys. Appreciate you. Quavadia, shout out to you, man. So I'll take McMillan over Genty. He is the bigger need. McMillan, yeah. Ted McMillan, if he's there. Over the running back from Boise, from Boise State. Why would y'all take him? Why would y'all take him? Why in the hell would y'all trying to get Kamara out the door? Is that what's going on here? Why would y'all take a running back right there? Y'all let me know, man. What's going on with that? I like the running back, but I don't think he's a need. I mean, we'll take what you gonna take, because he ain't gonna what? He gonna be off the board, and I don't know if maybe late in the first round, you know, middle to late first round, second round. You know, why the hell would you want Genty? You know, you got a lot of stuff. Like I can see Ted McMillan if he's there, but he's the best wide receiver there. I don't think he's gonna fall to you at 9. You're gonna get a really good player inside the top 10. You're gonna do that. What's up, Byron? He says, hell no, no faith on K Milkers. He's always hurt. Can't stay Fields. Okay, he says Fields, I'd rather have a running back. Scatterbo, there you go. I talked about him too. We talked about Scatterbo from Arizona State. 5'10, 220, 225, 230. Very productive back. Has a lot of the dude's a playmaker, man. You know, he's a playmaker, man. He made a lot of plays for Arizona State last year, man. He carried the rock. He was special. They got a lot of really good running backs that's there outside of Genty. And I ain't got nothing against them. I just think that we need, if we're going to be at 9, we need an impact player in a position of need. And if you look around the Saints offense, once we get to where we need to be, what are we going to need? You know, are we going to keep MBS? And even if you did, it'll be a 1-year deal similar to what? To Clyde Edwards-Helaire? It still does not stop you from needing wide receivers. You know, you still would need it. So if Ted McMillan is there and he falls to you, hey, that's a dog. That is a phenomenal player that'll look really good next to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. That will be super good to give Spencer Rattler or whoever the quarterback is that wide receiver weapon. If it's an offensive lineman, because we can use some help on the offensive line. We can use a starting left guard. Hell, if one of the top tackles fall to you, we could take a tackle and shift and have a little movement there. You know, so there are several players to do it. I just don't see running back as a key for what we're doing, because we still have Elvin. We still have Kendra Miller. I understand Jordan Mims is still there. He can help. And, of course, you still have Jamal Williams. You know, we don't talk enough about Jamal Williams. Can Jamal Williams, you know, be something for the Saints where he was not the last couple of years under the administration that we had, both offense? We could not get Jamal Williams going. Man had 17 rushing touchdowns 3 years ago for the Lions. Come to the Saints, I doubt he had 4 touchdowns in 2 years. It's all about how you use your players. All right, King Blood says, Q, check out Zay. Yeah, from LSU. Yeah. I know very well. That's my squad, bro. Yeah, he's a very talented lone cornerback. He got some stuff that he got to work on, man. But yeah, later on, man, he would be terrific for you later on in the draft. Yeah, I'm very familiar with him. Cartel says, nah, I like Davison. I'm not going to even try to pronounce that name, bro. But yeah, I got you. From Ohio State, I feel like he can be a number 1 cornerback. Big Q. You mean drafting? You want to draft a cornerback with the 9th pick? Paulson Adebo is questionable to come back, right? You've been operating with Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid McKinstry, you know, so it's I guess you could say it's a position of need from a future standpoint if you're not comfortable with Alontae and Kool-Aid, you know, and you don't want to take a first, you know, if you're good with Alontae and Kool-Aid, and I guess you can, you know, you'll be all right with that if you don't want to. But like I said, man, I just think the offense is we need help on the offensive side of the ball. I know the Chase Young thing is hanging over our head with the defensive end, but I still think we can get a good defensive end in the second round, because I think Princely will be there. There's several. Pierce, I like Pierce a lot. People like Princely. I think Pierce is a little bit more from Tennessee. James Pierce. I think he's more, what's the term, refined. I think James Pierce, even though Princely is an athletic freak, a lot of his game is incredibly raw from a technique. A lot of things that he's doing is just pure athleticism. He's not as refined as Pierce. Pierce is a beast, man. And I like what he's doing. So at some point, you know, if Chase Young is not the guy, you got to be able to get starters, whether it's the wide receiver position. If you're not, you know, you can use some help right there next to Chris Olave. The tight end position is a position. Jawan Johnson is a free agent. Do you want to move forward on there? Ty Warren could be a guy there. It could be your boy from Bowling Green. I keep forgetting the man's name from Bowling Green. He's another dude that led college in catches. That guy was phenomenal. And there are several other really good tight ends that can help you, that can step in. Even if you got a guy in the 3rd round, Mason Taylor is available. He's out there. So it's a bunch of guys, man. You just know you got to know how to work the board and find, and they're going to go 1 to 100 in the draft board, scratch out players and stuff like that. This guy like that, how they do their boards and then they scratch the guys out, all that kind of stuff. You'll see that happening. All right. Let's see. Thank you, Brian. He says, Cromer from Buffalo or Bill from Tennessee. Okay, I got you. Aaron Cromer. We used to have Aaron Cromer. He was down here. All right, Brian. Thank you, sir, for that. Appreciate that one. He also has this one here. Cromer from Bill. Okay, it's the same one. It's that. Okay, it's double super chats. All right, thank you for both of those. Thank you.
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this. Stay cool, nobody gets hurt. Take the money out, all of it. Come on. Wasting my time now. Come on. Come on. Stop stalling.
I know at the end of the day, man. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, because offensive line coach that's a big one, and that's a biggie. That's a biggie. That's going to help, but that's the whole reality is, man, when it comes down to it, man, it's just, hey, man, you got to have the right guy. Look what we had last year. John Benton came here and he talked about what he wanted to do, but at first it started good. And then when it came down to him being able to keep it in place, he couldn't do it. And it was game after game. Guys wasn't getting to where they needed to be. And listen, I know you got backups as a degree of talent, but still in all, these guys it was shabby. It was bootleg. It was garbage. It was terrible. And it wasn't the fact that they were not talented enough to do their jobs. They were just not prepared correctly. And you know what that looks like. You know what that looks like when guys don't know who they're blocking. Guys are slow to the party. Like Trevor Penning, even though, he did better than he ever did. And to be quite honest with you, he wasn't really working with much. What did he really have outside of 6 games prior to this entire season and playing? So, I mean, there was a lot of tape on Penning, especially later on in the year. Remember, the Saints ended the year on a 4-game losing streak. That just didn't happen. The Saints were, they had injuries. Not just that. So you need starters to win. You need starters to win every game. You're not going to have that. You're not going to have healthy starters every game. It's not how it works. You got to get these backups to play too. That's the thing. It's like people forget that. It's like, these backups are part of the team, right? They also need to know how and who to block. Well, that's an interesting concept. You got that, Big Q. That's an interesting concept about Yes. The backups have to know how to play. They have to be prepared just like your starters, because just in case the starters get hurt, backups can get in there for a handful of games and make it work. That's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to coach everybody. That's what good teams do. So if you got guys in there for wide receiver hurt, next wide receiver might not be as talented as the other guy, but hell, if we work all together, you can be able to get in there and catch a couple of passes, block a few guys, help this running back get here or there. That's what I've seen. Watching the footage and watching the Saints, where I was seeing it, fam. I was seeing it the whole time. Penning, you look at the tape, and I was showing it on Patreon to a lot of our Patreon family members. Put one in the chat if y'all seen that. I was showing. But I was showing, look at Penning late to the party, meaning he'll pull to block somebody to get there late. He's supposed to shed off a blocker and get to the second level. That's coaching, man. And then the fact that it kept happening, that's coaching. Because you're supposed to be pulling that guy coattail and tell him, hey, man, listen, you're supposed to get here and then get off of that guy and go to the next one. You don't supposed to stay on that guy. You help him block, and then you shed off or slide off and get to the next level. Go get that linebacker, so my running back can get to the second level. That's what you're supposed to do, and he didn't do that, or he would do it late. And it was like that's coaching. Your players are not prepared, and he was a starter for the entire season, and it kept happening. So you study film, and you have to iron out the wrinkles. You can't sit up here and make excuses like Dumb Rizzy did, and talking about his phenomenal effort, and they getting rolled up out there. He got blowed out by 20 points. Listen, you guys might not know this, but listen, they gave phenomenal effort. I know we got our asses kicked and we got rolled up like a trash can in the wind, but listen, I love my players. I love my players. Shut up. Shut up. You know, get out of here, man. I don't want to hear that, bro. I don't want to hear that. You don't sit up here and say dumb stuff like that. No, you let them have it. You let them players have it when they screw up. Sit up here codifying these players and they making tens of millions of dollars, man. No, we ain't paying you for that. We're paying you to execute. That's what we're paying for. And I don't think that's unreasonable to ask for that. You get paid handsomely. You should do a good job. That's what we want you to do. M. Dot says, I may be on the island here, but I don't think Genty's skill and set translates well to the league. Definitely not for what we need. I mean, bro, listen, he's very talented, man. Very talented. He had a hell of a line with Boise State. He still was productive in that loss when they got their tails kicked. He still was very productive in that game. But once again, you know, based on whatever system you use, he's a guy you can utilize in space. Like that's like an Elvin Kamara. These satellite style backs, they operate in a proper environment. Like if you can get guys like that in space, he can catch the ball out the backfield. He can run in. He can run outside and inside. He can catch the ball like a wide receiver. He does have a very good skill set, and he is explosive. You know, but it depends on how you tend to use these guys. Like, you know, like we have a guy right now, Elvin Kamara, who's a top 3 running back in the NFL, and we can't get him to 1,000 yards. Think about that. Think about that. Thank you, brother. Appreciate
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
Elvin Kamara is potential realized right now. Right now, he's potential realized, and we can't even get him 1,000 yards rushing. And he owns all of the Saints running records. But the one thing he never could do is get 1,000-yard season. Never got it. He got close in the C19 year. He went out there to that club and they suspended him for a last game. If he had not done that, he would have had that 1,000 yards. He's been chasing it ever since. But think about how phenomenal Elvin Kamara is as a player, and he's actually potential realized and a key contributor. A great deal of the offense flows through him, and we still wasn't able to utilize him in a way where he would have had that type of production. You know, so it's a very tricky thing. But in the end, you know, I think you could use him. I think his skill set does, to me, translate depending on what system you put him in. That's the big caveat, right? Thank you, M. I appreciate you. KT says, look at, yeah, you sent me this guy, Yaya Black nose. He says, Yaya Black, nose tackle, 6'4", 340 from Iowa. And I know about Holland Pierce, the offensive tackle, 6'8", 345 from Rutgers. Yeah, you got him listed as a guard too. KT, you think he's guard or tackle? Okay, I got you, brother. Thank you for that. Appreciate you.
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
You sent me a video on him, KT, and I was watching a couple of the videos you sent. I didn't get to the one. I think you sent me one for Yaya that I want to look at. But 6'4", 340 is the type of mammoth interior nose tackle that you would want to have next to Brian Bresee. That's what you need. You need big guys that are just plot there and they take 2 humans to try to move them. That's what you need. You need massive human beings that you have a 6'4", 340-pound behemoth just sitting there, and it take 2 humans to try to move him. And that makes life easier for Brian Bresee, who had 7.5 sacks. Yeah, he had more sacks than our defense of his other linemen, man. Granderson and Chase had 5.5 apiece. And your boy beat him by 2 full sacks from the tackle position. That's phenomenal, man. It's absolutely phenomenal. All right. Yeah, he said, okay, thank you, King Blood. Appreciate you, bro. All right. Yeah. All right. Anyway, yeah, T4 says you figure Kamara only had 3 years left in his prime. Yeah. I mean, and But then again, I guess a vantage point could be looked at as like these guys, the shelf life. Like you talk about Alvin Kamara doing his thing. He got his contract this year. But Kendre Miller, look at Kendre Miller from TCU. Kendre Miller hasn't been able to stay healthy to help the Saints out at all. Can he be relied upon? Jamal Williams hasn't done anything since he's been down here. And I like listening to him because he's animated. He likes cats and Pokemon cards, but that don't do nothing for us on the field. Not a damn thing. He like cats and he loves Pokemon cards. That's just terrific, Jamal. But that does diddly squat for us as a football team. Because listen, when y'all losing, we don't want to hear nothing about no Pokemon. Let me just be honest with you, man. I'm just going to keep it all the way funky with you. We don't want to hear a damn thing about no damn Pokemon. And you sit up here with 12 losses, you can take them cards and you can draw them away. I'm just keeping it all the way funky, man. That type of stuff only play when you're winning. And people are then more patient or inclined to listen to that. But when you have 12 losses, we don't want to hear about no Pokemon cards and them cats. No disrespect. You can keep all that to yourself. But that's another thing to talk about too. Is what happened with Jamal Williams? We need to put Jamal Williams in the street and move on. What do we need to do here? You feel you underdig? All right. Anyway, let's keep it going. Yeah, M. Dot even mentioned it. He mentioned it. Big Valley says, "I'm not checking for nobody in the running back room except for Kamara. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's." Because he's the only one that proved to you to a great degree that he could be relied upon. Jamal Williams hasn't showed you that. Kendre Miller damn sure hadn't showed you that. Nobody else has showed you anything. And including if you draft somebody, they will fall right there as well. So, like I said, man, time will tell, LM says we need a number one running back. Don't think Kamara will hold up taking that beat and needs a partner like he had in Ingram. The only thing is, bro, you probably get one that might come later on. I'm pretty sure they'll look at somebody later on in the draft, to be quite honest with you. But right now, I don't see such a thing happening. What's up, Carla? Shout out to Carla. All right, Youngblood says, Q, what do you think of the Saints switching to a 34 defense this year? They're going to have to find a dog at the nose tackle. Exactly. Shout out to Youngbloods, man. Exactly. You a 3-4 system, and we know about the 3-4 because we ran the best 3-4 system that was ever created in the pros. It was called the Dome Patrol. You had guys there. The front three guys had to be dogs. They had to be because the pressure is on the front three guys. The front three guys have to. It's 3 against 5, right? It's the 3 down linemen against the 5 offensive linemen. And those 3 guys will have to occupy or keep those other guys busy, which means that 2 of those guys will have to draw a double team and the other guy will have to deal with the single block. So you would have either 2 of those would be so disruptive and such a force that they would have to command double teams, 2 of those guys out of the 3, right? And like I talked about, when you had the Dome Patrol, Frank Warren and guys like that, Wayne Martin, Frank Warren, Jumpy Gathers, guys like that. Those guys were phenomenal. They didn't get nearly the kind of credit that they deserve. They'll talk about, and rightfully so, the great Ricky Jackson, the great Pat Twillen, the great Sam Mills, who was the brains, and Vaughn Johnson. Those guys were phenomenal. But the Dome Patrol would not exist if it wasn't for the front, them down linemen like Frank Gathers and Frank Warren and Jumpy Gathers and Wayne Martin and guys like that. That wouldn't have worked. Because those guys were so forceful and had such an impact that they were able to allow the linebackers to roam to do their jobs. So if I don't have an offensive lineman shedding off one of those defensive linemen and getting to the second level where I live at to make my money, then I wouldn't be able to drop back into coverage to get ready for the passing game or selectively blitz. I'm able to play clean, so to speak, because I don't have to worry about linemen coming to me. My defensive linemen up front are taking care of the offensive linemen. They're creating problems there, which give the linebackers the ability to roam, which means drop into coverage or selectively run blitz. So this is the type of stuff that we've seen happen on a daily basis with the Dome Patrol, and it was so good at that. even to the point where they made the secondary look a lot better than what it actually was. Because at times, our cornerback situation was kind of weak. We had really good safeties. I like our safeties and Gene Maxey and Brett Maxey and Gene Atkins. It took me a while right there, but yeah, Brett Maxey and Gene Atkins. We had really good safety play. Our cornerbacks with Torrey Cook. Cook used to get burnt all the time, but it was the fact that the Saints up for the front seven guys would get pressured. Ricky Jackson, Pat Swilling, then Ronaldo Turnbull coming off the bench and helping out too when he finally got there. So you had a few guys operating, but they would bring immense pressure to the quarterback, which forces the quarterback to throw early before the route developed, which usually would end up in an incompletion or a turnover, interception or something to that degree. Saints are really good at that. So if we're talking about running the 34 system, you would have to have dogs up front there. You would have a massive interior defensive tackle that commanded a double team and one of those other guys that were disruptive as well that also commanded that. So that's something that, we'll see how it works. But it would ultimately look very interesting if they did go with the 34 system and they found a nose tackle to be there either through the draft or whatever. And what do you do then with Brian Bresee? Do you convert Brian Bresee, who showed you that he is on that level where he can get massive sacks? He has that quickness and athleticism. Do you convert him to a defensive end? Who would be the other guy? That changes everything. Then what do you do with Chase Young? See, this opens up everything. The dynamics are just wonderful if they decide to go 34 and make that the base defense. But you realize the Saints over the last several years, even though they like the 43 defense or the 44, all this kind of stuff, but they also ran the modified nickel. And that was the base standard defenses that you've seen most teams run, was the modified nickel package. So we'll see, bro. We'll see if that is indeed the case. But you see a lot of teams operate with the modified nickel package. That's just what they do, right? All right. All right. Colorado, shout out to you, man. All right. I'm sorry, Colorado. I did not see your comment, my friend. I did not see it. And it's a lot of comments there, my man. I'm sorry. All right. Is it okay? He says, how many days until free agency and how was your day? Colorado, my day was good, man. Thank you for asking. I'm a little later than what I wanted to be. I had some errands I had to run, but the NFL, let me see if I can put the NFL off-season calendar on screen for you guys so y'all can see all of the dates. That'll help out. Hold on, let me see if I can, because I seen one the other day, NFL calendar here. Okay, here's one straight from the NFL website itself. All right, 2025 important NFL dates to keep track of. January. All right, we beyond all that. All right, let's see where we are. Okay, we up in here somewhere. All right, so here we go. February 18th, beginning this date through 4 p.m. New York time on March 4, clubs may designate franchise or tradition players. That's February the 18th. February 24th through March the 3rd, NFL Scouting Combine over at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. That kicks off February 24th and 3. That's right around the corner. Matter of fact, it starts Monday. On Monday, baby. All right, let me put your question up there. And then, of course, March, you see March the 4th, New York time, deadline for clubs to designate franchise or transition players, negotiation period during the period starting at 12 noon, New York time, March the 10th, and ending on 3:59 New York time, March the 12th. Clubs are permitted to contact and enter into contract negotiations with certified agents of players who will become unrestricted free agents upon the expiration of their 2024 player contracts at 4 p.m. New York time on March the 12th. So there you go. So you have the March the 4th is the designated franchise to transition players. And of course, that's the negotiation period as well for teams to start talking. And then March the 10th through 12th during the above 2-day negotiation period, prospective unrestricted free agents who who is not represented by NFLPA certified contract advisor or unrepresented player is permitted to communicate directly with a new club front office officials, excluding the head coach and other members of the club's coaching staff regarding the contract negotiation. The club is responsible for confirming the player's status as an unrepresented player. So, and then of course, later on, the time period of 2025 trading begins on that time frame. So I'm just giving you a ball down of all this stuff. They talk about the annual meetings and all this kind of stuff. So you're looking at a time frame March the 4th with the designation period, the negotiation period from March 10 to 12th, and then the March the 12th is the 2025 league year and free agency signing period beginning at the 4th. So your answer to that question, just to show you everything, is March the 12th, baby. March the 12th is when things get down and players start moving around and getting signed. So that is also the first day of the league year. And then, of course, you see other things like the annual league meetings on March 8th through April the 2nd. Then April the 7th, clubs hired a new head coach after the end of the 2024 regular season may begin off-season workout programs. That's also big because that's the Saints. And then there are other things, deadlines for clubs, time visits, interviews, conduct physical examinations with draft eligible players, deadline for restricted free agency to sign offer sheets, April 9th. All this is in April. And then clubs with returning head coaches. So you got a 2-week period for teams who have new head coaches to get the workout programs going. And then April the 21st, that's when other teams are allowed to start doing their thing. Then, of course, the draft happens April the 24th through 26th, and then on and on and on. So this is a few things right here. The NFL important dates calendar heading into the month of March. So I hope that answered some of your questions, my friend. And I am, of course, doing fine. All right. Thank you for asking. All right. Hope you're doing well, too. KT says, Q, what are your thoughts on Andrew Mabuka from South Texas? I'm going to have to look him up, my friend. Hold on here. Let me pull him up, KT. Hold on. Give me a second, KT. Let me take a look at him. All right. Because KT be looking at the diamonds in the rough here. Oh, I probably mispronounced the man's name and every damn thing. Y'all know I ain't good with them damn names. Come on now. Y'all know that. All right. Hold on here. KT be knowing all the peoples. All right. Hold on here. What's the gentleman name here? Andrew. Mabuka? I think I got that right. No, it's Makuba. See, I done screwed all that up. Makuba. I say Mabuka. What's that? What the hell I'm doing? All right, hold on here. All right. Okay. Makuba is from Clemson. Is he Clemson? Yeah, I'm going to have to look at this. This is a DB from Clemson, man, with 5 interceptions. Okay. 6 feet, 190. All right. Oh, I remember this dude. I remember seeing him. I remember watching him play in the Texas this year, man. I seen him. He make a few plays for them. Yeah, he has what 69 total tackles. Yeah, 5 interceptions this year. 6 feet, 190. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at him. That's another one, KT. I'm gonna have to
wanna say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this
I'm gonna have to
one.
look him up, KT. KT always dropping some game on them good ones, man. We got to take a look at him, KT. That's another one I got to look at. All right. Thank you for my brother. Appreciate you, man. Jack says we could use Savion. Yeah, everybody loves Savion Williams, man. But I think the 49ers trade Debo and pick him earlier than expected. Savion Williams is a beast. He's a beast, man. Absolutely. Savion's the truth. LM says, Q, does Foskey go from leading the NCAA in sacks to not knowing how to play football with the Saints? Now, I talked about, what was that? On the previous stream, I talked about Isaiah Foskey. Foskey is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish all-time leading sack master. And he comes to the Saints, and the man have like a half a sack, I think, and which is going to be his 3rd year coming up. This is 3rd year. In 2 years with the Saints, he had like a half a sack. How do you go from being an all-time? I know there's levels to the game, but I'm saying it's potentiality, which means if you're doing it at a high level in college, it's supposed to be able to some great degree translate professionally. And it just doesn't seem like that's happening. You know, whose fault is that? You know, what's going on there? Reality is he's buried. He's buried on the depth chart. Isaiah Foskey, what he's supposed to show what he can do on the special teams? You know, he hadn't gotten an opportunity to do anything, you know, of any renowned. He was buried. The guy was a second-round draft pick. Hell, they had a first-round draft pick named Peyton Turner who wasn't even seeing the field. And the Saints did that. They just said, you know what, we're done with Peyton Turner. They did that last year when they signed Chase Young. When they decided to bring Chase Young in here, that told me that they were scrapping Peyton, at least Peyton Turner. Because how is Isaiah Foskey going to play when he's buried underneath Chase Young and Cam Jordan and before you even get to Foskey, you had to go through Cam and Peyton Turner just to get to him. So I mean, he was buried. There's no way. You know, you can practice all you want and play special teams all you want. At the end of the day, you got to get out there and do what you was doing in college, the position in which you was drafted to play. So I don't know. You know, that's strictly what it is. He was buried on the depth chart. Yeah, Brother Wallace says Vince Buck. I remember Vince Buck. KT says, Q, if we switch to 3-4, use Brzee like Buffalo used Bruce Smith, or how Houston used JJ Watt. I think that has a lot of potentiality. I think that would be really good to see that kind of thing happen. Not gonna lie to you. I think that Brian Brzee would absolutely love that. He would love that. All right. Anyway, man, let me keep this thing moving along, man, and moving along. All right. King Blood says, Q, what are your thoughts on DeMario and Chase and Tyron? DeMario Davis, Tyron Matthew, they need to take pay cuts, brother. They need to take pay cuts big time. They need to take pay cuts. DeMario Davis is, I think you could save some money on his agreement too. I would not restructure these guys, man, because if you are involved in a rebuild, you cannot have these men here. You can't restructure these guys into the field. What are we doing that for? If you're going to go into a rebuild, then that means you're basically getting off of these old players. And by the way, these guys are the reason why they have all of the money. These old guys have all of the bread. They have all the guys, the Taysom's, all these old guys. Now they're productive, but in the end, if we're not competing for playoffs, then these guys no disrespect, it's business. We need the money back. They got to go. True talk, you sit up here with 12 losses. This is not a hard decision to me, right? If you're trying to win and the old players have the money, what are you going to do? How do you get the money back? They either take pay cuts or we cut them and put them in the street. That's just what it's got to be. We have to get the money back so we can get into the rebuild that we were supposed to start a couple of years ago, as opposed to play around and have Loomis to lie to us about competing for playoffs and all this garbage. And he's sitting up here talking about he's overly patient, this idiot. All right. Anyway, Mr. Vega says, what do you think about Saints draft and Ty? I would love that. I think he's one of the players that I like. Ty Warren from Penn State would be phenomenal. I think he's a special player. There are a lot of good tight ends in the that's coming up in this draft, but I think Ty Warren is special. What he did, he can mean a lot. And you remember your tight end's the safety blanket for your young quarterback. So Ty Warren would be an excellent choice if he's there, and he probably will be. Type tight end in the draft. And if you like I said, if you got a young quarterback, you need a tight end there that can do that. He just the guy does it all, man. You can move him around. He does it all. So you have we have a talented tight end like that first time since Jimmy Graham, or, you know, a really exciting tight end we haven't had in a while, man. So yeah, I think Ty Warren I would not be mad at that. If some of these other guys were off the board, wouldn't be mad at that. All right, Brother Byron says Darius Alexander from Toledo is the defensive tackle. LM says Jordan is too slow. Yeah, I'm saying, man, what are we doing? We need to get these old guys. And like, I got love for DeMario and Tyron Matthew, but facts are facts, man. What love got to do with it? We sit up here with 12 losses. Love ain't got nothing to do with this. We need results. And they're sitting up with all of the money. If I put it on the screen, I'll show you the truth. Look. Let me show it to you. They got all the money. You got all the older players got the money. Derek Carson up there with $30 million base salary. Taysom Hill got $10 million. You see that? It's all lined up here showing you the money. The old guys, DeMario 6.5. Cam Jordan sitting up there. He one of those $12.5 million. 30 from the car. Cam with 12.5. DeMario was 6.5. Tyron was 6.2. You know, these older players you're talking about, they got the money. So if we trying to, you can't, there is no rebuild or restructure or anything if you don't have any money. You cannot, if you don't have any resources, you're not doing anything. And like I said, the reality is we sit up here with 12 losses and all these old players, man, no, that don't make no sense. These old players got to go. Thank you for your service. You've been paid handsomely. Now, you know, let's trade Cam to the NFL Network. Let him go up there and talk. He like running his mouth. Let him go ahead and run his mouth for the NFL Network. You know, we need that money back, Cam. No disrespect, brother, but you're in the way right now. We need to build this thing. Mahler says, Hugh, I'm hearing you. If you don't restructure Carr, they have to restructure Cam, Davis, and Honey Badger. I don't want to restructure none of these guys, bro. I say pay cut. I don't want to restructure them. These guys are older players. They're not that the future is now. And some of these contracts expire after this year, and I don't want to have these contracts around longer than what I need to. And these guys have been restructured before. If you pull up their contracts, they got phantom years going into the future. See, it's the intricacies behind all of this, fam. All of this. Look at this. Look at this. This is what I'm talking about. This is Cam Jordan's contract. He making $12.5 million this year, and the man's 36 years old. This is the last active year of his contract. Active. There are several voided years that the Saints have to pay Cam up until he's almost 40 years old. You see what I'm getting at? These are the intricate things that people don't, that they don't see. When Cam is off the team in 2026, he has several voided years on the contract. 7.5, 5 million, and 2.3 in money the Saints have to pay him over the next. So he's going to be gone on NFL Network and still collecting money from the Saints because of how Mickey Loomis runs these stupid books. These guys have been restructured before. Look at this is Taysom Hill's contract. Look at Taysom Hill's contract. Understand, this is why we be dropping science here. Look at his contract. In 2025, you owe him $10 million. There's reports saying that they probably going to get from up under it. But he has voided years on his contract. The Saints will be paying Taysom up until he's 37 years old. They're going to owe him $10 million over the next 2 years. That hits the dead cap when you get rid of these guys. That's what I'm saying. People, they're not looking at that. DeMario Davis, these guys have been restructured before. We don't want to keep restructuring. Look at this. This year's DeMario's last year, 6.5. We don't want to restructure him. He has to take a pay cut. You look at the next several years. The Saints are paying DeMario Davis up until he's 39 years of age, and he'll be going off the team 3 years after that fact. You see these dumb phantom deals that he does to stretch out the money? He did that with all this. All of these guys have been restructured before. Look, all of them have voided years in their deals where you'll be paying them 3 years after they're gone. This is Mickey Loomis. So no, ain't no more restructurings. It's pay cut time. You either take a pay cut or we cut you. We have to get the money back. We have to move in the right direction. And in terms of the and one of the fans asked about Chase Young. I think that's one question I missed from the previous one. I think LM asked me about him, but Chase Young, I think Chase Young should be a guy that the Saints see about bringing back because they hadn't been able to hit on the draft. That's what they did. They basically forfeited and just punted on Peyton Turner last year when they picked up Chase Young. And they're going to give him a contract because they didn't trade him like they traded Lattimore because they wanted Chase Young. Teams wanted him, and the Saints said no, which indicated that they're going to sign him. You know, let me get ready to buckle on up out of here, man. So, Brian, okay. All right, look at Pat Bryant. Okay, KT giving Daquan Felton. Yeah, KT, I got a lot of tape to watch, brother. I got like 10, what is it, like about 5 or 6 more pieces of film that you sent that I'm still looking at, brother. There's some good people there. So there's a lot of stuff, KT, man. Continue to send them, brother. I'm going to be looking. All right, the Cartel says, Q, would you take a chance on that tight end Malik Carr out of Michigan State late in the 5th round. I don't know if I'll take a stab at him, bro, but there are other tight ends that I like. The tight end from Miami, the tight end from what's that guy? That's not a tight end, but the guy from Syracuse, he's a big wide receiver. But I can see tight end applications for him in the red zone. You know, some of that kind of reminds, I don't know if they'll pull that off because he's kind of skinny. But Gadsden is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about Gadsden, Orlando Gadsden application. That he's a big physical wide receiver. But if you can get him to girth up a little bit, you might be able to have a red zone weapon. I'm just kind of using that old Jawan Johnson theme. You know, remember we did that with Jawan Johnson. He was a big wide receiver like Orlando Gaston, and they end up turning him into a tight end. So, you know, the kid from Syracuse. But yeah, there are quite a few other guys that's out there. Mason Taylor from LSU is another good one. A lot of people believe he'll be there in the 3rd round. The kid from what's his name? Gunnar Helm from Texas is a pretty decent blocking tight end that has a pair of hands. What's the other kid that I'm thinking about? There's quite a few of them, man. That actually are pretty good tight ends that's out there. So yeah, it's quite a few of those guys. All right. Anyway, let me keep it pushing on there. King Blood says Chase Young did solid. Just want to see him get more aggressive. Big Q. I got you on that, fam. I think they're gonna offer him a contract, man. I think they'll ultimately give him a contract. All right. Yeah, he says I put Jack. Oh yeah, okay, Jack. Yeah, we're gonna see what he got, man. I was looking at tape on him, man, to see what he's made of. All right, Mad Drummer says, so Q, do we trade Hill, Jordan, or Davis? Cut them or keep them? What do you think? I mean, you might have an option to trade Taysom Hill. I mean, I know Sean Payton will want him. You know Sean Payton will want him. So, I mean, you might have a party there. I mean, you could get a trade off on him. I don't know who wants Cam Jordan. I mean, at $12.5 million. I mean, I don't know how you do it. It'd probably just be easier for the Saints just to, you know, ask these guys to take a pay cut. And if they don't want to take it, just cut them. Post June 1st, cut these guys. That's what I would do. I don't think nobody trading for no Demario Davis will want, you know, I just don't see that happening. And besides, what you gonna get for him? Like a 4th round pick, 5th round? I don't see that happening, bro. I just would just get them off. It's because I don't have time to be searching for, you know, if Taysom's one thing, you're right. Taysom, because you know Sean Payton would love to have Taysom up there. And we can get maybe the 3rd or 4th round pick for him, perhaps. I don't know. But taking time to try to find suitors for Demario Davis and Cam Jordan, if they don't want to take pay cuts, man. Because you got to look at everything else you got to do. You still got to build your team, man. And you got to do this fast so you know what you're getting. Because if you're going to do this, that, and the third, then it'll make some, you know what I'm saying? Because the team is growing and moving and shaping around you right now. They're moving and shaking around you right now. So based on the philosophy, defensively speaking, or this, that, and the third, some players might not make sense. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, like I said, we'll see how it all gets. He might have an idea from players from Philadelphia that he wants here and some of these other guys that he doesn't want. But it's not like we have $30 million right now and we got all our older players. We need to get some of this money back. And Carr doesn't want to take a pay cut. That tell you right there what they're going to do. The guy don't want to take a pay cut, then he got to go. You know, you're really not that, like, I ain't gonna say the man ain't important, but you're not really that impactful. It ain't like you threw for like 4,000 yards the last 2 years, 4,000 yards a season with 30 touchdowns. It ain't like you did that. So you have some hesitancy and say, well, damn, Q the manager street drew for 28 touchdowns and 4,000 yards, man. You don't want to put him in the street. He's pretty, that dude ain't do none of that. He ain't do none of that. You got to go, man. They got to go. We can't afford you. You got to go. Simple as that. And that's not disrespectful. Was really, you know what? That's not disrespectful at all. I'll tell you what's disrespectful. Having a 12-loss old-ass team sitting up here at the cellar of the NFC South with Carolina and Atlanta on top of them. That's disrespectful. So I don't care about none of that stuff, that other stuff that they talking about. They got their money. They smiling to the bank right now. Matter of fact, Demario Davis told all y'all out there to have faith. when they was thinking that they remember that 2 games left in the season, he came out with that press conference talking about have faith and we're not going to panic. And I'm sitting up here saying with 2 games left to go in the regular season, what are you talking about? Panicking. We're not going to panic. What are you talking about? You're on a 2-game losing streak. They finished the year on a 4-game losing streak. And you talking this stuff, man. Get out of here with that, man. Get out of here with that. Why you collecting a check? But I damn sure ain't heard nothing from you when all that stuff happened with the Saints in the Catholic Church. I damn sure ain't heard nothing from you then. Did you come out and give them a speech about not behaving saintly, even though they called the Saints and they back doing all this demonic stuff? Did you say anything to them? So if you ain't say nothing to them, don't say nothing to us, man. That's why I be telling y'all, shut these players down, man. They could be coming with this stuff and you collecting a check. Your vantage point is already skewed because you getting paid by them to be a mouthpiece for what they talking about, and they not right. So that's why I have a different vantage point, because to me, in my world and how I think about you, you guys are the stars, because without you, there is no team. These players wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you supporting this team. Where would they get the money? They get the money from you to pay them. They work for you. You don't lecture me. I lecture you, especially when you're losing. You don't tell me about having faith with no works. You hear what I'm saying on that? And that's how I handle these players, because these players out here paid for by the team, and 98% of the time, their vantage point is that of the team because they're getting paid to think that way. So I know that I'm smart enough to understand that. And that's why I would challenge you in your stance, because I will be here long after you're gone. I was here before you got here, and I'll be here long after you gone. That's real. That's where the power resides at. And that's who you are, the mighty, mighty Who Dat Nation. You represent us right, or you won't be here. That's what we are with ours. And on that line, I'm going to get on the body here. So listen, I'd like to thank all you guys for chiming on tonight's stream. I appreciate y'all for letting me talk at you on this wonderful Thursday night. I appreciate you kindly. Thank you guys for all of your excellent commentary in the chat. Yeah, I know. So I appreciate everything, man, for what y'all do. It's been our Patreon Champions YouTube membership family. Please feel free to check out our show sponsors, platform sponsors, Mint Mobile, T. Chintley, and Bet Online. The links are in the description section. They help support the platform to keep it strong and growing as we move forward, to keep the message that we've been rocking with for well over a decade. The Sports Coma is here, and we ain't going nowhere, baby. We represent the mighty Who Dat Nation. We in this thing. So with that being said, I'm going to be out of this thing. I'm going to holler at y'all on the flip side. Much love. Who that to you. Peace.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Who that say they gon' beat them?
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who Dat too.